We're on.
Hello? Is
Hey.
everyone on?
No, sir. I think we're missing Councilmember Day and Councilmember Bailey, and we're missing the city manager.
I'm trying to get Mr. Day
He's having
connected.
some problems. He's having some problem with this computer.
Yeah, Mr. Day's having some trouble, and Mr. Hunter is having his computer's doing an update.
Okay. Well,
We have a quorum, so we have three of y'all.
it is 3 o'clock, so we need to go ahead and proceed. And so we are at this time going to go ahead and proceed. I am calling the meeting to order, and Happy New Year's to everyone. We're just truly thankful for this opportunity, and I do know that Mr. Hunter and Mr. Day will be joining us because I have all the confidence in Mike that he's going to get the technical difficulties worked out. So Happy New Year's to everyone. We do have a quorum. We want to stay on task. It is 3 o'clock. I am calling the meeting to order. As we all know, no actions are ever taken at this meeting in preparation for our council meeting tomorrow, which will be the first one of the year. So with that said, Mr. Dave was down to do the invocation, but since he is not been able to join in, I guess I'll lead with the invocation, and we will continue with that, if that's okay with the other two councils at this time. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes.
let's all bow, please. Well, Heavenly gracious, loving Father, just again, because of the grace and mercy that you've given us, Lord, and we can't thank you enough for your grace and mercies that you give each of us each and every day, and even each and every second of the day. And Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity in this day, and we truly thank you, Lord, that you have allowed us and this team to be able to see a brand new year. And Lord, we know that 2020 was a tough year, but God, that was orchestrated and designed for you for the purpose of making us better, to make us look deeper within ourselves, to make us realize that we truly, truly need each other. And Lord, I ask and pray that with 2021, that we have realized that and that we continue to show that love and care toward each other and truly, truly think of others more than we do ourselves. Lord, we know nothing happened by chance under your divine will and power. And we ask that you continue to bless this municipality, that you continue to bless the workers of this municipality, that you continue to bless the council member and the citizen of this great community that you've put us in. It's only by your grace and your will. And Lord, help us to realize that we are created for a purpose, that you've allowed us to see this new year for a purpose. And that purpose is to bring glorification to you by the way we treat, the way we walk, the way we act, the way we console people. We ask that you continue to guide us and lead us, that our hearts continue to stay pure. And Lord, I also ask that you forgive us for all our shortcomings. And God, we ask that you allow us to stay focused, that what we are here to do as a collective group of council is to move and have the right spirit in our hearts for this community and for every citizen of this community. In your son's name I pray, Jesus Christ, Son and Savior. Amen.
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 I
Mr. Hunter,
apologize, Mayor.
oh, you on, Steve?
Yeah, Mike camouflaged these things with his new way of doing it for the new year, and I thought all of this stuff he had sent me was for tomorrow's session, but I could use them for the work session too. I didn't see one that says work session.
I thought the same thing, but the great thing, I was able to reach out to Melanie just to right down the hall, and she said it was for that. But I thought the same thing we all did. But nevertheless, we all here. Are you there, Mr. Day? Mr. Day?
We're getting really close. I think he's almost there.
Okay, we see Mr. Hunter, so I went ahead and did the invocation. But of course, again, because Mr. Day was not on, but he would do it on tomorrow. So as I stated, we are going to go ahead and proceed on at this time. We don't have anyone to request the council. At this time also, we don't have anything for the planning commission. We didn't have a scheduled meeting. Is that correct, Mrs. Moore?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We did not have a meeting due to the holidays.
So there's nothing to report on, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we are going to go ahead and proceed on under the city clerk. I am going to call on the Mrs. Lee to go over the upcoming calendars for January and February, as well as the upcoming board appointments. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Just a few dates in January. Of course, our council meeting is in the morning at 9 a.m. That'll be via Zoom. There's a planning commission meeting on Tuesday, the 12th at 5:15. There's a holiday on Monday, the 18th. There's the work session on the 19th at 3 p.m. and that got pushed over because of the holiday. And our council meeting will be on Wednesday, the 20th at 9 a.m. And I have something I need to mention about that. I got word today that the city may be trying, or there may be coming up on that agenda on the 20th, some loan approving financing. And Rod Cantor's the attorney for that. And he said that y'all would need to meet in person like you did before with that other ordinance. So when I set everything up for the year, I had it set up for the Lakewood Idle Hour Community Center in case y'all did meet in person or by platform Zoom. I know we were going to try to meet by Zoom right now, but if that item comes up on the agenda on the 20th, y'all are going to need to meet in person on the 20th at the Martin Idle Hour Community Center at 9 a.m. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. I think that Mr. Woody or maybe even Mr. Hunter, Mike could, I don't know, say more about that financing or whatever it is, but that's all I know about it. Then on January the 26th, there's a planning commission meeting, and then we had moved the state of the city to January the 28th. That will be at 6 p.m. my understanding right now, and still scheduled to be by Zoom. Looking ahead in February, on February the 1st, there's a work session at 3 p.m. On February the 2nd, a council meeting at 9 a.m. And then there's another holiday on February the 15th, and that pushes the work session over on the 16th to Tuesday at 3 p.m. and pushes the council meeting over to Wednesday, the 17th at 9 a.m. As far as I know, those are all scheduled for Zoom right now. The only other thing that I had that was the upcoming board appointments. This is going to come up in February. This is the Zoning Adjustment and Appeals Board. There are 2 members whose terms expire in February. The city clerk's office reached out to both persons. They do not wish to be reappointed. So there'll need to be 2 names turned in for the Zoning Adjustment and Appeals Board. That is a board that we interview for. So if the clerk's office can get in all the names, we're going to try to set that up after the next work session on this 19th, after your work session on the 19th, even if we need to do it by Zoom. The 2 members that y'all will appoint are going to be for the first alternate and the second alternate, because one of these names is a first alternate. And so the second alternate that's already on the board will move up to a full-fledged member, so that the 2 names that y'all appoint will be the alternate 1 and alternate 2. And when y'all make that appointment, excuse me, you will need to specify who is alternate 1 and who is alternate 2. Did y'all have any questions on that?
Can I ask something, please?
Yes, sir.
I was looking at the districts that they come from. District 1 has 3 members. One of the members there that we got to replace is from District 1. One of the members that's got to be replaced is from District 3, but District 2 only has 1 member on that board, if I looked at that correctly. And trying to keep with what we've been doing in the past with the city boards, if it's fine with everybody, I would like, not that I've got somebody in mind out of District 1, but if Ms. Johnson would like to try to appoint somebody from District 2, where there would be 2 from District 1, 2 from District 2, and 3 from District 3, it would make her district more in line, is what I'm trying to say. If she would like to try to do that, or if y'all think that would be okay to do. If not, I've got a name already, but I was going to throw that out there for Ms. Johnson.
So Steve, you'll be making a nomination to replace a person from District 1.
Correct.
And Mrs. Johnson for District 2, which would give us more balance.
Right. That was, kind of the way that, we've been trying to approach it. This board has been there for a pretty good while, so it just looked like there was 3 from my district, 3 from Arthur's district, and only 1 from her district. So I was just thinking it, might be, more, I ain't gonna say flexible. It's not, it's already fair. It's city people, it's citizens of our city. Doesn't really matter where they live, but just to make it where each district would at least have 2 people on a board of 7.
I would agree. I think it sends a positive message that we are trying to, be equitable. Not that in every case that would be so. We know that we're not saying this is what we're going to hang our hats on, because at the end of the day, we have to look at the quality of the person. So, but again, I think it can send a positive message. However, I do want to caveat it that it may not work out that way every time. And we certainly don't want people to think that, because again, at the end of the day, it's the quality of the person. So with that, I think it's a great idea as far as myself. Mrs. Johnson, if you can.
Yes, that's a great point. And again, just kind of going back to, trying to have some balance there. But if any other council member know of someone that resides in District 2, I will appreciate the call to the clerk office to appoint them if you know of anyone in District 2. But then again, like I said, if we get down to the quality of the individual that is willing to serve, then that's what we need to go with. But I appreciate Councilmember Bailey for pointing that out, and I certainly do agree with it.
Yeah, and let me caveat this. It's our responsibility to look at the qualities of a person. So certainly that would take precedence over us trying to right size it as for lack of a better word. But yes, I do agree, but we all know the big picture of this.
Absolutely.
Melanie,
Okay.
Melanie, could you correct me on this if I'm wrong? There's no stipulations that put this in this situation, but a lack of participation. Am I correct in that? The history of it, where it got so lopsided, because it should have been just about as evenly as you can pick it before, but it was a matter of getting people to participate.
Right. As far as I know, there's not anything that says that it has to be like so many from each district, as far as outlining that.
But say, Mr. Day, you remember that?
Pardon me, sir?
Lack of participation?
Yeah.
Lack of participation.
As far as the even amount of numbers that we try to pick to have on these boards in these different districts. Do you all remember that?
Yeah.
I think he was trying to get on, Mr. Hunter.
Mr. Hunter,
Yes.
first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Sorry, I just got on. Mr. Hunter, would you please repeat what you stated, please?
Okay, we have to go all the way over it. They was looking at
Right size for lack of a better word.
appointments. So we had 3 as far as the zoning adjustment board, 3 from District 3 and 3 from District 1 and 1 from District 2. And as I remember, we was looking at a lot of time these things come and the numbers get lopsided because of having people, a lack of getting people to have to participate and want to be in these. So it's gotten appointed that way, and that's how it gotten so lopsided as far as the number of people that's going to participate from the districts. So that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
All right, but
I feel sure that's probably what happened. These people were appointed before,
yeah.
But I know exactly what you're saying, and what you're saying is probably correct. And it could even be that some of them were alternates and they moved up, and then someone else was chosen behind it because, somebody moved up. But I was just looking at it, trying to keep it in, more of a, balanced situation if possible. If it's not possible, I do understand and don't mind. I just wanted to, to offer that out there if it's workable. If it's not workable, then that's not a problem.
Yes, sir, because the way it works, and Melanie was explaining that, I want to make sure everybody catch it. When you talk about the second alternate, the first alternate, and the person that's moving into full-fledged, you want to go over how that works as they peel off, Melanie? So they understand really how that works on this board as far as how the second and the first moves into the full appointment?
Yes, sir. On the zoning board, and I believe it's the only board that will have the alternates that will do this. But whenever a member is not reappointed, whether they want to not to be, or for whatever the reason they're not placed back on there, the first alternate moves into the permanent position on the board.
Yeah.
And then the second alternate will move up to the first alternate. And then the person that is appointed to the board to replace the member that left will take the second alternate position. But what is happening now is you have a board member who's not wanting to be reappointed, and you have the first alternate who's not wanting to be reappointed. So you have a second alternate that's on the board that isn't expiring right now. And so that person will move into the board position and become a full-fledged board member. And then the two people that y'all will appoint will become the first and the second alternate. And then at the time of the appointment, y'all will need to distinguish as to who is the first alternate and who's the second alternate.
I thank you, Madeline, for that. Reminders of that. I spent 9 or 10 years on that board. That's exactly how it worked. And let me ask you this then: since we make that decision, can we go about the first name that turned in or the second name that turned in to help us make that decision?
Unless Jimmy knows of any reason how y'all would need to go about that, I would think it would just be up to y'all as to who would be the first alternate and the second alternate. And that may be something that when y'all interview these people for these positions that y'all may want to ask them, would you rather be the first or the second alternate, or I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know.
Well, the reason I asked that question, Melanie, is that I have already turned a name in for that board position, and I think that's the only name that been turned in for that board position for right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but you've already got 3 on there.
No, Mr. Graham, on the zoning board, Mr. Hubbard won't be serving again.
I thought you said a while ago that there was 3 from District 1 and 3 from District 3.
That's the way it was set up. Yeah, it depends on where they're leaving from now, who's from what district, where they're leaving from, where they was trying to take a look at and trying to even it out, to take a look.
Right size it.
Say for instance, if it's a day, if you got 2 people from District 2 that's what's going to be left on the board, you know what I mean? Then that would be, well, you have your number. So if it was only 1 that was there from District 2, you would try to put somebody there, or and in this instance, what Mr. Bailey was saying, that if you already had 2 left that was from, and had a position that was open from District 1, that should go to District 2 to try to even out everything.
Right.
Well, Mr. Hunter and Mr. Hubbard is leaving, and I think that will leave on District 3. That will leave 2 or 1.
If he's from District 3, then that would leave 2. Depends on.
That'll leave 2.
Yes,
sir. Okay.
That will leave
District 1 only has 1 person.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now. I got it.
Yes, sir.
So I guess what we're saying is we want to, and I think this is great. However, it may not work out that way because of how the staggering go. But I do want to just coerce what Mr. Bailey said. If we can have a chance to try to right size it, although we know it could get lopsided, for lack of a better word, because of the steps. I think when we turn in a name, we probably should let Mrs. Lee know we're turning it in for alternate 1 or alternate 2, due to the fact that 2 of the persons who are not choosing to serve back on this board, 1 is already permanent and 1 would move up to that position, although we have a second alternate that would move into place of 1 of those 2 persons. So I think we need to specify. I don't think we need to say that. I think we need to take charge to tell Mrs. Lee alternate 1 and alternate 2, whatever names we turn in. And then when we do the interview, we need to explain to those persons how this board works and see if they really shouldn't mind whether they alternate 1 or alternate 2, from my perspective. Once I think we communicated with them during the interview. But I do think, this is just me. I'm not saying I'm right. And of course, you all rebut if you want to, but I do think we do need to let her know, her being Mrs. Lee, that we are going to say this person for alternate 2 and this person for alternate 1.
But Mayor, you got to attach a district where those people from too to get the
District, and I thought we had,
what you're trying to get to.
yeah. And
Yeah.
again, on what Mr. Bailey said, Mr. Day, which you wasn't on, due to the fact that we're trying to right size it, for lack of a better word, where we can have representation as equal as possible within each district.
Yeah, I understand.
So, and I think what Mr. Graham said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Graham, that with you already having 2,
I don't need to turn in any name. That's all.
yeah,
Bottom line.
that exactly.
Bingo.
Need to allow others to turn in.
Yeah. Okay.
Mrs. Carter
Okay,
Johnson. Okay.
that's
We
fine.
okay with that, Mr. Day?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just-
Council, are you all okay with that?
Yes, I am.
However, Mr. Day, we did caveat it at the end of the day. You know, we want to make sure we're picking people that has the qualities. You know, although, you know, sometime it may work out and sometime it may not. But as Mr. Hunter stated, you know, this kind of got lopsided again.
Yeah.
Every time I say that I'm thinking about my little grandson that said lopsided. So y'all forgive me for lack of a better word.
Well,
we're gonna try to.
Mayor, I understand, Mayor. That's just feasible with me. I mean, I understand, but the name I turn in, this guy, he is. Well, I mean, I think he'll be a great fit for that board. But understanding that you say I already have 2, which I'm agreeing with the team. I already have 2. We just let that name roll on off to something else. He's well educated, retired school professor, well educated. So we're gonna let that roll on off.
That don't mean, you know, Mr. Day.
That ain't the end of the day.
That's good. That's fine. But this is the situation that's at hand here. District 2 is the oldest district in this city. District 2, at times throughout my career, had been served very well, and a lot of part of it fell to the wayside. District 2 is made up in different areas of where what you just talked about, Mr. Day, you can find that in District 2. That person, that type of person is in District 2 here who would want to serve, that has that. As long as, you know, like you all know your different areas where you had some people will serve or some people just don't want to be involved, but you can find that now throughout District 2 the way it's developed. But hopefully some of these people, see, this is a situation. Gil and building department a lot deals, am I correct, Gil, deals with this board a lot.
Correct.
So when we intertwine the public, regular public with our day-to-day workers here and the people that run these department heads, we need some cohesiveness because they get to see whether people are serious or not about being these decision makers that's being on this board. And some people hunt knowledge and some people absorb it like a sponge. They want that, and some people just are there. That part don't work. So we definitely need people that want to get involved, that have longevity like you did for 19 years on that particular board. So we want people that's want to learn. So will y'all take that in consideration that's coming from the day-to-day workforce and having people that's going to be on these boards that we have to work with?
And one of the things that Mr. Hunter, I agree with you. As you stated, the risk to be redundant here, you can find that in all 3 districts, really, as far as, you know, when it comes to education. But let me ask this question. Once we interview these individuals, once we get to that level, can we say to those individuals, they are going to be certified. They're going to be certified in the near future. Let them know what I'm saying, Mr. Hunter. Let them know up front when we interview.
Yeah, that's what you all supposed to do. They got to know whether they have the time to seriously serve on these boards. If they don't have the time and don't want, we don't need them. The city itself don't need them, period. But they got to know what they got. You got to know something about what you're doing and what you're trying to do and the decisions that you know, everything that decisions that's made in there. You know, that levies on the city in some type of way. So they have got to know what they, and want to be willing to learn what they are doing.
Yeah. I remember. I'm gonna keep referring to myself. I remember when I was working 10 hours a day in my regular job, I was still had to be certified, and I had to take the time because, as I stated in previous statements I made to the city and you, I love Phenix City. It's just the dedication that you have for your city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and the knowledge is great because at that point in time, they learn what they're doing.
That's
They
right.
understand.
Right. That's right.
And,
so Arthur, you okay if Mrs. Johnson turn in a name and Mr. Bailey? Or that's I guess that's the crutch of it, what Mr. Bailey brought up, which was a great point. So since you already have two in your district and Mrs. Johnson only have one, and of course Mr. Bailey will have two by him turning in the names. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, I will still have two on there without.
Yes.
Just like Arthur. So that's what I was going to say. I think he didn't come on at the time Ms. Johnson was talking, but she even made the idea there, Mr. Day, that if any of us knew someone in District 2 that could serve this board well, that, she would entertain, one of us giving her a name.
Yeah.
Like taking somebody out of our own district, so to speak, that she would, entertain that. So Arthur's going to have two left on there. I'm still going to have two left on there, no matter who turns in names.
Exactly.
So Arthur can still turn, as far as it goes, he still can turn in that other name. So we're still going to wind up with somebody, as far as the districts go, with 3 people on the board. Because there's 7 people on there.
Yeah,
So
based on the number. Exactly.
Well, if you all want to go that route, I have already turned in one name, But like I said, whatever the council see fit, I'm a team player, and I don't mind.
Yeah.
Well, what we
I have
would
no
do.
problem any way we go. Just I guess as the names get turned in, I guess Melanie can reach out to us and tell us what districts the names have been turned in, and let's just see where it goes from there.
And plus, we'll be interviewing, and again, just turn in the names, and let's get out of the way since it's one of the boards that we interview for.
Correct.
Well, why don't we do it this way? Why don't give Griff the opportunity to turn in a name from? He can choose from out of the 3 districts.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too.
Yeah, no problem.
well, that's already in place. That's what the at-large position is for. It works all 3 districts. So the at-large position, so we don't forget, and shouldn't have to tell anybody this, if the 2 at-large positions is double representation in every district for the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
Every district actually have 3 people.
That's right. I just wanted to make sure that Ms. Johnson had opportunity, if possible, of having another person on the board. It worked out.
Well, at the risk of being redundant here, whatever name Griff choose out of 3 districts is fine with me. It don't matter to me. Whatever name you choose.
Okay. Well, we're going to interview anyway, so at the end of the day.
Let's turn the names in, make sure they're willing to put forth the effort that they have to be certified, and then interview. And if the interviews come out equally, then we can try to get different ones. Exactly. That's just the best way to do it if we can.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to recap for a second. We're going to keep the name that's already been turned in and set up an interview. Is that correct?
I would.
Yeah, and exactly. We're going to interview, and Ms. Johnson's going to turn in a name. However, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, if she doesn't know of anyone, then she can reach out to Griff or any of us who may know District 2.
Okay.
Correct? Is that we're all on the same page with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine with me. Okay.
All right. Proceed on, Melanie.
That was it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate great conversation and discussion, Council. That's how we get better, and I really appreciate that. Great communication and discussion on that. Proceeding on, Council, this is the time of the month for our department heads. For the sake of time, as we've always done, if you have any specific questions that you would like to ask any of the department head, now it's the time to do so. And I always start with you, Mrs. Johnson, since you're on my right when we're in the work session. I know we read from left to right, but it's not because you're feet, but because you're on my right. So
Because female is first.
no, not in, you offend some people now.
I know. He ain't offended your mama, I promise you that. 'Cause your mama would agree with
she would welcome that. She would welcome that. But
exactly. Your mama said, that's the way I raised him.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well,
All right,
Lord.
Ms. Johnson.
I do have just one quick question and one comment. I think it's very important. I give this note coming from a couple of citizens in Phenix City. Over the holiday, we had a couple of families reach out to me to give this compliment, and I want to pass it along to you all as well as the citizens in Phenix City. So they was home for the holiday season, and unfortunately, one of them was home for the death of a loved one. But anyway, the message that came to me was that Phenix City has definitely changed, and stated that it has changed for the better. And I told them, I said, we can contribute that to the great team that is down at the city, making sure, again, that the resources, the economic development, all of that takes place, with the team at the city. So I just wanted to pass that remark along. And I'm just so happy to see, I don't know if I missed this on the previous month's reporting from the economic development team, car rental company. I get asked that quite a bit. And so haven't got over there yet, but yeah, so I do see that on November the 14th, that their location interest. So Mr. Sean, I don't know if you're on or not. So we do have at least someone that is interested from the car rental business, looking at Phenix City as a place to do business.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. And we've been working towards trying to get us a car rental company for some time. We've got a lot of auto body places in town, and especially up and around the 13th Street area, you've got a handful just within that area. And so what we see is a lot of those folks are doing their work, and they're having to send their customers over to Columbus to rent a car temporarily while they're doing the work. And so we've seen that as an opportunity for some time, and that location interest comes back and forth from time to time. And so they are again back here, and we're trying to help them find a location.
Awesome. And that's just more information that I can kind of leverage off of to kind of give them when I'm asked again about why don't we have one. And so that is so interesting to me, and I'll make sure I pass that along. And then one other question on the ED side. I do have quite a few pedestrians approach me because they're in close vicinity to the grocery store on 13th, but they always ask about, are there any plans? And I know, and I always tell them here recently that COVID has made the tour some of the planning right now for a franchise to come. So they want more eateries on 13th and 14th. And I know various individuals own those properties. Are there any franchise or other eateries that may come? We got the German restaurant down there. They love that. I hear, the likings on that. But have you heard of or have reached out to any franchise to come and on 13th and 14th and try to, get that cleaned up and get that kind of re-landscape?
Yes, ma'am. So 13th Street is certainly a very interesting location for us. There's a lot of attractive features that it has, great traffic counts, those type of things that restaurants like. But there's also, some unattractive things that sometimes hinder its progress. But I'll give you full confidence that we are working towards restaurants on 13th Street. And there are probably 3 or 4 locations or sites that are specifically that we're spending a lot more time on trying to locate. So we're hopeful for the future of restaurants in that site. Nothing that we can really talk about or share as of now, but it's definitely as of interest for us for sure.
But the other thing too, Sean, on there is the way our city is structured. A franchise is not going to locate somewhere where they're going to die. You got to understand how a city works. At 6 o'clock in the evening, from Crawford Road, which a lot of people don't realize, you go from 13th to 14th, you get to 17th Avenue, you turn into Crawford Road, and you go out. at a certain particular time of the day, that dies. 280 bypass 431 don't die.
Right,
It
right.
will keep a franchise living. So you will, a smaller franchise type mom and pop place will survive better in the city. So a lot of time we take a look at Tyler's when it was there for years. Tyler's survived for a long time because it was right there with the locals and did a lot of things. It wasn't a big chain. The other one that you would see would be up in Opelika. But until today, Phenix City is going to have to force its way back from the river. When we have more residents and as we build on the river and force itself back as far as the number of people with population going back, and we do have a lot of plans. It's just that, you even look at the location where particular locations where lights are, where people can put in, where they can also have a drive-through window. We've got all of that in place, but we got to build up some more numbers of people too that's going to be walking that corridor or riding that corridor, participating in there to go in and out of these places, because they got to pay the employees, they got to pay the mortgage, they got to pay the rent. So when you have that population there, as we grow this riverfront, as they build, and if we can get some of the things going on that needs to be built right here on the riverfront, going back and put that population downtown better, that's when you're going to see 13th and 14th thrive going back in that direction.
And
So we
Mr.
got to put the numbers there.
I'll add this to it too. You're absolutely 100% correct. And that's the way we see it, is that there are, the Tyler's location, for instance, if you couldn't go put a Tyler's back in that same location. Now, it's amazing to me that how times have changed, that every decision that any of these franchises make, there's so much data that goes into it. So many different factors that accumulate to make a decision for these guys. And so, Mr. Hunter, you're absolutely correct that we've got great daytime traffic there. Not a lot of businesses in the area that but when they go home at 5 o'clock, it tends to slow down significantly. Some places like coffee shops and those kind of things can survive from morning time stuff. But from a restaurant perspective, you've got to have a reasonable lunch and a reasonable dinner crowd, which would be tough on 13th today.
In the history of it too, even from Columbus, this whole 2.5 mile radius, and some of the older guys here that, myself and Ms. Bailey can tell you, the peanut law was what, 6 o'clock? Right before downtown became uptown some years ago, and they changed the whole chemistry down there. It used to die also. You all remember that?
At 8 after 5, they were gone.
They was gone.
Yeah.
It's a whole new mind frame, a whole history that's changed, and that evolves, and it still exists, and it's there. If the whole thing would change if we had 4-story apartments, or
Yes.
condos that's here, and putting that population there and change, which we are getting ready for that. I'm saying, and that's what we're doing this downtown area. But when we get there, you'll see that whole thing change, because it used to go all the way in that full 2.5 mile circus across both of these bridges. Well, at one time, the other bridge was open 14th instead of 13th during that time.
Yeah,
It used to die, Nate, unless you was going directly somewhere and coming back. Am I correct?
you're exactly right.
Yeah, it just got to build up more density. That's what
Yeah.
they look at. Am I correct, Sean?
Yeah.
We just got to make sure we can create more density with people.
Yeah.
That's the key.
The Fifth Avenue extension, so when a restaurant or two comes there, I think it will kind of be more enticing to other business perspectives to kind of want to come in that same area. So I have to address these, because these are just some of the concerns and questions that I get, so that I'll know how to give them the information that we as a council is looking at and working toward. But they do see, like I just mentioned, about those compliments in the area. But I think that is give Public Works some credit here as well. They do see that the city, quote unquote, is being cleaned up. Now, what they mean by that, it could be various things, where at one time there was a lot of trash in the area. They don't see that anymore. They just actually see that, the city is changing for the better. So we're proud to say that, we continue to work toward that, along with, the great team we have within the city. And lastly, I just wanted to ask Chief, we talked about, moving those speed signs around, and the last request that I got in District 2 was on 10th and Body Street. Have we had a chance to kind of look at where we are with kind of moving those around to try to mitigate some of the speeding within our city?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know exactly. I have to check. See, we have 4 of those signs, and I haven't looked at them today, but I'll check on what the schedule is to get them to 10th and Bodie. I already have that request in there.
Okay. And that was all I have, Mayor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon, you have anything?
I've got one, and I apologize if I missed this, but in the utilities department, and I've noticed I haven't had any citizens call me yet, but I've noticed over the past week or two on social media, a lot of people complaining about they had paid their bill, and then they were getting notices that they had not paid their bill, and their water was getting possibly, or not getting cut off, but that they had a late notice. Is that something that the utilities department is aware of? And is that something that if somebody asks me, how are we handling that situation?
Oh, yes, sir. That's something that we have all the time. That's a regular, but it depends. Sometimes that exists. Some people, sometimes it's true. And sometimes, it's not, but they have had some times where we've had some mix-ups down there. Yes, sir.
Okay,
But
well,
they are
I
aware
just had
of it.
like there's probably about 3 or 4 different people that were saying they were having it last month. And so I didn't know if
Okay.
it was like a glitch in the system or if it was just one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Well, I didn't know if it was a bunch of citizens that were dealing with that or not.
Well, we have over 14,000 customers. So they could be right. I'm not gonna say they're wrong. That could be right. We do out of 14,000, that's possible. That's
Okay.
possible.
So,
But I would need to know or find out from utility just who we are talking about so we can address it to make sure, because I'm quite sure they've talked to someone about it. We've had today, this is the first of the month, a lot of people pay the bills right during this time. The car's been wrapped around the building all day today, and we are growing. So with this pandemic, it is tough because we have a lot of new people approaching the outside and the window and can't have the lobby open. So we having a lot of things of choosing what's first or not. And with we're in the process of we have the kiosks coming, and we're also in the process of making sure that people can pay on the telephones and making sure, because a lot of people don't use the social media, the older people, and they like foot traffic. They like to come themselves. And then a lot of them like to pay over the telephone. So I'm trying to make sure we put everything in place to accommodate our customers right now. But we do have some, I'm not gonna say we're perfect down there at all. So they could be right, but if we talk to them, we'll make sure we get it straight. Because we do have mix-ups from time to time.
Right.
it sounds like we're being proactive, but I guess, Councilman Gordon, sometimes we just might need to say it, proactively as a reminder. And if you have some problem, just call, and we will get it rectified as soon as possible.
Well, what happens also is you gotta understand, it's just like today and checking utilities out, as you'll notice, we do have some problems because with the protocols that come with COVID, we're ending up short of staff quite a bit. So we're trying to cover a whole lot down there. So I have to get that information from them. Why is this going on and what's happening here and there? And it used to be, people don't want to hear excuses or whatever, but I'm gonna give you reasons why a lot of things are going on. It's difficult.
COVID
Can I
won't
add
let
something
people
to that?
wait.
Yes, sir.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I add something to that?
Yes,
Yes.
Sure. I've got an idea of what Griff's talking about. I haven't had anybody approach me, but I will, out of my personal knowledge of this, when I get my bill at home and I get my bill over here at the car lot, and some of y'all probably the same way, usually my bill comes after my due date on the actual date. Like if my due date's on the 28th, I'll get my bill on the 30th.
Yeah.
Which you
Yeah.
still have a cutoff period time. I'm just wondering if maybe some of these customers are not aware of that they, and it's not their fault. They possibly didn't receive the bill till after the due date was due. And a lot of people may be going, have a couple of weeks on paychecks to pay certain bills. And some of them could be getting right in there right before, the cutoff date, rather than thinking that they're there before the due date and they still got some time frame after that for a cutoff. I don't know if that could be possibly what some of them have ran into, but I've noticed that a time or two, and I did ask a couple of people at utilities several months back how come I was receiving my bill, which looked like I was receiving it late, but of course it wasn't. It got mailed out at a certain time, but it does seem like my dates on my bill said the date due like the 28th, and I'll get the bill on the 30th. But now my cutoff may not be till the 15th, 16th, 17th of the next month.
What it says on there, Mr. Bailey, is due upon receipt. That's what the bill says. It's due upon receipt, because mine's come the same way yours do.
Right.
And in saying that, it's due there, but when you look at the other date there, you usually have about 20 days before the cutoff. The
Right,
other
that's what I was
thing
saying,
is that even with that, when they tag if they come out and tag you, you have 5 days after that tag. So
yeah, they tagged me before.
you have 21 to 26 days to be actually late. And I always tell people, I say, when you get your bill, that's when it's time to pay it. But I think probably some of the other things that Dr. Gordy may be talking about as far as is somebody get turned off accidentally without any and all that. But some people go to the edge of the road with it. And if something occurs, you're going to end up late and you're going to miss that tag, but I know that. But sometimes we may have somebody that may turn off the wrong meter. And that's when people have a legitimate gripe, I'm trying that. I'm from that old school that the customer is always right until it's proven that they're not. So we have to give them, we have to accommodate them in the best way we can,
Let's let our citizens know how we are sensitive to this. And listen, we've had a lot of great dialogue today, and I certainly appreciate that. That's how we all get better collectively as well as individually. But again, we sound like we're taking measures to be proactive, and I guess we as a council, we can, maybe talk about it more when we're outside amongst the constituents, and just, if there's a problem, just have them to call, or you turn it in, and we'll get it rectified as soon as possible.
Today, at one time, Mayor, at one time, we had more than 50 phone calls. Am I correct, Mike? Mike, are you there?
Yes, sir. That is correct. We had an extremely high volume of calls like I've never seen before. Today.
So we have a lot of, a lot that's going on now. We always know it's going to be tough at the first of the month. You got to remember the weekend. We just coming to the 1st of January. So, you have a lot of people, and even people that was behind in things, I don't know if a lot of the checks are arriving, the stimulus checks and stuff like that, but it gives people a chance. That's something else to give people a chance to catch up. We in January. January is the month when you feel your city, you got to be able to feel what's going to go on this month. Even with our loan companies and banks and everything else is out there. You got to understand 2 things really going to happen this month as far as the financial situation around here. And now there's stimulus check, and you got to remember it's income tax time.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are taking these companies that, that financial, institutes that deal with that, or, are giving people money early based off the income tax, what they're going to get and everything else, all of us don't live the same. So, and it's a lot of hidden things in this city to have the feel of this city to know what's going to go on month by month and what's going to happen here. And that's the feeling we gotta have, even in talk about the hidden thing that Ms. Johnson was talking about this morning. But, just a few minutes ago, and what the people said to come visit, it takes people that's been from here and gone somewhere else to come back and let us know sometime that a difference have been made. You look at one thing that you have to sell this city for all the time, Mayor, all the time since you've been in office, this your 9th year. And you're gonna have to look at what you're doing at the end of the month. You're gonna have to take a look at what the median income has risen to. It's different here.
Yeah, Yeah, it is. And I always try to talk about that at the appropriate time,
Yeah.
because that right there tells you the change.
Yes,
And also, one of the things, and of course, we talk about this more collectively when we get ready to do the state of the city, is, I mean, there's been a lot of jobs created, which raises the medium income, household medium income, or EPI, as some people call it. So, yeah, and that's all good and great. And, you know, that's just bring more money for us as a business, as the city. And it also helped create qualities of lives for people.
Yeah. While we're talking about this too, to prepare y'all for something, because like I say, I think we have a great dialogue today, and I know I'm talking a lot. You know, this is, if you're not fired up in the first month of the year, something, you know, even with all the most depressing things that's happening to us, we still got to do for those of us that's still around and taking a look. And I was talking to Sean this morning about a few things, and a lot of big things we have to look at. You know, they ran an article in the Citizen, and it talked about our success as far as being able to put up revenue and do different things with it. And a lot of people, I've talked to some people where it looked like you all done good. You got this money. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I said, well, I got several more articles for you to read before you say that. Before you start spending money that you think you saved, there's a reason why we have put ourselves in this predicament. Have you all took a look lately at what they're doing in a lot of states, even with the pandemic, to the minimum wage and the stair steps that go along with that minimum wage? Because if we pay, of course, higher than the minimum wage in most of our areas, in our departments, in our job. But let me tell you something. If you got a person sitting somewhere right now with 7 years of service and they're making $13 an hour, and you bring that 850 or 9 person up to $15 an hour, with the longevity and history of that person with 13 hours, you're not just going to take them to 15. Where are you going to take them at that point in time? When you start multiplying those things by the hundreds, by 400, and then whatever, this city is best to have some reserve money set up somewhere and a budget that can handle that. And as what came online today in several states was where the minimum wage has risen. And that's going to get to us sooner or later to a certain point, even though they give you time to put it in place. It's sometimes it depends on who's governing that, where it can hit us, and it can hit us hard.
Well, you definitely need a plan. I've seen that in the corporate world. And you definitely need to have a plan in place, because like I said, I've seen that. And I've also seen where you may have employees that have been there for several years, and you get new people coming in, and you've already proactively planned to pay $15. Yeah. Even that create a lot of friction among employees.
It creates a lot.
It's a delicate dance. I've experienced really a delicate dance.
Mayor, that's part of this reserve, and trying to make sure we can hold a balance. That's part of what we have been doing, as I spoke on a couple of years ago, and getting prepared for this. So that's part of why it looks so good with our revenue. But that revenue is being put aside for a particular reason, to be able to handle that and make sure we can smoothly transition into this where it don't affect the city in any kind of manner, because in some places they're equaling it out by laying people off.
It's a delicate dance.
You don't want that problem.
The amount of friction that it can cause among employees, because they don't talk now. And you get somebody to come in who's maybe don't have all the years of experience, and minimum wage is going up. It could be a challenge.
Well, as you said right now, and that person in the same position is making more money because they've been here in that position several years before that was position. When you make that adjustment, you have to be prepared to make, what is that? You have to be prepared to, somebody have a good time. You got to be prepared to make that adjustment with the other employees. So we have to take a look at that regularly to be prepared for that. And I definitely want to make sure we're prepared for that.
Well, let me ask you this, it's common. Like I said, in the corporate world, I've experienced that.
Yeah.
like I said, I keep being redundant, but it can cause some problems. So is it going to be the point where we're going to have to do another efficiency study?
We've been able to do our own when it comes to that. That right there is not one.
Gotta,
That's
based
not
on years.
that's something we've been able to do in house because we
Since we're on a merit system, because some
what you
years
say now.
Since we're on a merit system, I do know that when everything take place or before it take place, when you hire people, in my experience, you've already taken to that point. Then people who've been there years, may not be a wider gap from their perspective that can, create those problems and delicate dance. So we started looking at that and dealing with that, as I know, because it can become a problem.
But this
is on the merit system too. Yeah.
This hits you differently because it wipes out a lot of all your step and grade plans that's in place.
Yeah.
It hits you totally different than that. So you have to rebuild that step and with that
and that's my point.
You have to rebuild that. So yes, we've looked at that already in house, and that's why we've gotten to the point to where we just don't look at things as far as a general fund reserve. We have a true reserve that's set up there. At the same time, we have to look and see our tax base, how we are building with that tax base, where that can handle what you pay your employees overall. And you don't want to ever reach over the 60% mark in that as far as what you got coming in sales tax wise. So we are on par, but I'm saying this so people understand. That's why it's not that I'm being stubborn about anything, but if we don't constantly take a look at that and we move and spend unnecessary money in different areas that we don't have to address this issue, they have to stay separate. Revenue that we have put in place is capital improvement here, there, whatever. We can't never put ourselves in the place where we start finagling with the other revenue that's got to take care of what we got to have as far as the workers and stuff. So we are prepared, but it's coming.
But I want us to all realize, Mr. Hunter said the key words, 60%. That is dangerous.
Yes.
Am I correct, Mr. Hunter?
That's correct. And you got to make sure your revenue is staying in front of that, or you staying right in there with that 60 or so. When you start getting 70 stuff, you get off balance.
That dog won't hunt.
No, sir.
I'll tell you this, if you give one employee more money, you can bet the other employees are looking for more too.
They talk. Don't think they don't talk now.
You know it is, and rightly it is only fair. Yeah. So, you have to do like Mr. Hunter says, you have to keep that money in reserve for when that time comes, and it is coming. And keep all of our employees happy and keep the best employees we can. That's how come we do it as well as we are, is because we have good department heads with good employees. The employees are not disgruntled up under the department heads. They're not trying to stab you in the back to do something wrong. So that's one reason, like Ms. Johnson said, that our city has moved forward. But you just have to plan for those things. You can't take it out of one side to pay for another side. That side's got to pay for its own as it goes, just like everything else has to pay for itself. But them employees, if you raise one, I don't care how long somebody's been there or how new they are. If I was one of the employees, I'm gonna be standing there with my hand out too, just like everybody else. I just tell you now, that's human nature, and there's no explanation in the world if you don't do it for them that they're gonna understand and accept. It just won't work.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, and we've all have said this, our number one asset is our people, and you got to take care of your folks.
Exactly.
If you don't, you lose the team. I can tell you where you're going to be.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gordon. Any other?
That's it for me.
Proceeding on, Mr. Day.
Okay, I just have a couple of them. I'd like to share this with us, Mr. Hunter. Yesterday, as I left my church coming up the old Seal Road there by the park there. I'm gonna say it like I shouldn't say it, but I was two. That was two Caucasian young men. They got out of the Jeep. They stood in front of the gate. They parked there. And they were saying some Sunday school word. They were throwing the hand up and pointing, carrying on like that. I didn't want to, I wasn't about to stop. And I kept going. You know, I guess they want to know when the park going up. And when is that park going to back up? Mr. Hunter, your favorite person asked me that on Saturday again. I'm not going to call his name either.
I don't think you have to.
But Mr. Hunter know who I'm talking about. But this is what I tell them, Mr. Hunter. I told him, I said, we're still, doing some investigation down there. We're still making some improvement down there. And, COVID pushed back a lot of things in our city, it made a lot of changes in our city there. And that's what I told him. That's all I could tell him. But I can't give him a precise date. I said maybe about, maybe last of February or somewhere in there. That's what I told him about that project, Mr. Hunter. I don't know what I was right in saying all that or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I told him. And one other thing, Mr. Hunter, right before today, I received a call from a person down there in Ridgebrook. I really need to live in Ridgebrook. But anyway, they was talking about the flags on 4th Avenue South. I shredded the yard and I tore up. They looked real bad flying up there. They said, we need to take them down and put some new one up. And I said, ma'am, the only thing I can do is turn this in, which I did already. Yes. And that's one of the person on south side of Phenix City. You know that person's name. I'm not gonna call that name. Okay. But anyway, and one other thing I want to ask this question on my own. I know we started work on the old Seal Road, that bridge right there, going down past Mr. Ballard Funeral Home right there. We started doing some type of construction there. How is that project coming out? Is that coming on pretty well, or how's that coming?
Talking about the bridge itself, the replacement of the bridge?
Yes, sir.
Which phase are we in that, Angel?
We are still in the preliminary engineering stage. We haven't even gotten a proposal back from a design engineer yet. So that we've got to get the proposal back from the design engineer. ALDOT will have to review and approve that. And then we will have to bring it before you all council, and y'all have to vote on whether or not to approve that contract. And then after the contract has been signed, then they'll start doing the preliminary engineering phase. So we're well off from any work going on down there.
Okay, well then let me ask this, Andrew. How far we what phase are we in on the Obalaka Bridge to that project over there? How's that coming?
It's going good. The rain has hurt us in the past couple of weeks. We had hoped to get the bridge open, but we didn't. We've got to get guardrail up. The state won't allow us to open up the bridge until we can get guardrail up. They're supposed to be coordinating with the pavers. We've got some asphalt down. We've got.
I lost you.
You're on mute.
I'm sorry.
We all lost her. There you go.
Yeah.
So did y'all hear? The state won't let us open up the bridge until we have guardrail put up. And right now it's been so wet that we haven't been able to do that. So we do have some asphalt down. It's not complete yet. We do have some additional work there at the culvert, or they're still doing some earthwork. But if we could get some good weather and get things dried out, hopefully we could get everything done in another 3 weeks or so. We've got a progress meeting with the contractor next week, so I'll hopefully have some additional information.
One of the things, okay, thank you, Angel. One of the things that I looked at the public safety building, and one of the things that I know that's a pretty pity there. I read that. Chief, could you elaborate on that for us, please? And what phase are we at?
You talking about the phase of the construction?
Yes, sir.
It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda today. The contract's on the agenda today for y'all to look at and approve. And once we get the contract approved and get all the signatures, we'll sit down with the contractor and find out what their schedule is and when we can start.
But another thing, Mr. Day, it's not too far off from what we projected, but what's happening, what people don't realize is the price of construction has went up a lot since COVID. You know, a great deal as far as lumber and everything is out. That's why we are doing so well from Home Depot. You know, it's increased tremendously as far as orders and the things that people are getting just from that particular location. And but we came out pretty good, right in the ballpark where we thought we would be at as far as the building.
Well, Mr. Hunter, I looked at that as well. Let me ask you this: is that a local contractor?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they're right across, they're not too far. It don't, I'm gonna tell you, you know how I feel about it. I'm telling you all, I'm real straight about the way I feel about it. The best qualified contractor that we can get.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But these are local, they right around.
Yeah.
it. But if they wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have bothered me one bit. I'm just being real honest. So if people tell you that's
It's
where I
been-
am, but if
Well-
it's best qualified and they're gonna do the best thing for Phoenix City, I feel like if the people that's local better get on board with the people that's not local to be competitive, to make sure they give us a good product.
Well, Mr. Hunter, I agree with you. I got to know that fam. I'm not gonna call the name, but I got to know that family real well, and they did a fantastic job right across the river to that YMCA. I got to know them, pretty well. They did a fantastic job. They're good folks. I guess I noticed on that. I looked at that sheet where I think it's take about $500,000. $500,000 for Dodge Drive. That money gonna come in from the gas tax money here.
Yes, sir. That's
Yeah.
what we had. Go ahead.
We have applied for some additional gas tax monies. We haven't got the application back yet to know if we're approved. But we have set out in our transportation plan that we did back in August that we were going to use those specific gas tax funds to resurface Dobbs Drive. We have to, by the House Bill Act of 2019, the Rebuild Alabama Act, we have to do an annual report at the first meeting of in January to let council know that what we've done with those funds. And to date, we have not spent any of those specific gas tax funds.
Now, let me understand this thing. Rebuild Alabama funds are separate from the gas tax funds. Is that right?
It's still a gas tax, but we have to separate it into a different account as stipulated by that bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I guess my last question would be, how's the Miracle Park coming on up there? The Miracle Park, how's that coming?
It's on hold. It's on hold because of the pandemic and trying to do fundraising and the committee that we put together trying to take care of that. I guess I need to answer your other question too. I was gonna get Todd to answer that. Down where we had to put electricity back in down at Austin, they stole all the tables that was down there. Every one of them. They vandalized and tore up the bathrooms and everything. So it put us in a bad situation down there. So those guys down there have been trying to do a full restoration on that particular area. So much damage went on to where we just decided to keep it closed for a while to get it taken care of and take our time doing everything before they just tear everything back up and we have to replace it. So Todd, you want to talk about where we at this stage?
Yeah, sir. We have, Mr. Day, we've ordered the new picnic tables and they're in, and as they're coming in, we're putting them together and installing them. I was hoping we would have it open at the first of the year, but with pandemic, shipments and stuff have been delayed. So we're slowly but surely getting the tables in. I'll have to check with Chris Johnson to see exactly how many we got left to put in. But like Mr. Hunter said, it was a lot of work that needed to be redone down there from the destruction that was caused. And as far as the flags are concerned, we're in the process of trying to get flags to replace for those cemeteries.
Okay. But if you all recall, like I said, when we talked about this in the past, I told those folks it'd probably be late February, early March. And I think I hit it just about right there.
Yes,
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Let me ask you this, Todd. Once we get all that taken care of down there, what other thing that we have in place to prevent some of that? I know we can't prevent them from tearing them up and stealing, but can we put some type of camera down there or a portable camera or something?
Well, Chief Smith and I have discussed some options that we're going to try to utilize, and that's another one of the reasons we haven't opened up back fully yet, because we want to make sure that the police department is staffed well enough that we can accommodate the different things we need to do down there to protect our investment.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
We spent a lot of time looking at footage from cameras, a tremendous amount. Chief will tell you that, and a lot of things have come out good for us and stuff like that, but it requires more and more manpower, as we put it that way, personnel, let me put it that way, to do that. And we're trying our best to put them everywhere to make sure we have an eyeball on things that's going on. But it's, you know, a lot of people, it's already was bad enough, but during this pandemic, it's gotten worse, you know. Look at the weekend we just had, you know, right across the street from me, where I live at, down the next street, down over there, you know, from there, it was a murder. You know, so I'm on the phone with the chief about one murder is going on and shooting going on, and another one occurred that's right around from me. And then we find people that's vagrants that's set up in place with bomb making material. So it's quite a bit going on, and it's a lot. And these parks are just open house, right. I can look out my window at the restroom to Riverwalk, where just pull up the camera, and sometimes people just take up house all around it. So we have to send the police there. So we're spending a tremendous amount of time watching things in Phenix City and trying to make sure things are taken care of. But it's a lot. It's a tremendous amount of things that's going on now. So we out there, you know, there's no rest. You know, our police officers are on the move everywhere, every day and every night right now. So it's stretching us out pretty good. And that's from Columbus, from here to Opelika to Auburn, all around us. You know, but they have done, we hear about the bad things, but a lot of things that don't get promoted on the things that they've done. They've done a lot of good things. We've gotten a couple murdered suspects. One that we had to bring in from out of town that committed a murder here 2 years ago. And a lot of these people, they take their activities, when they leave here and flee from here, they take their activities somewhere else. And a lot of times we find these people in other states in jail because they've taken the same behavior there. So we have to hunt them down. But right now, people really need to be careful. We have a lot of drug violence and gang violence that's going on throughout, and domestic violence. You know, we have so much of that that's going on right now too. So they're doing a tremendous job because they're not getting any rest.
Well, you know, Mr. Hunter, as you know, you brought so much to my attention. You know, just like it had been said that every time there's something bad going on in Phoenix City, the news media is right there, like murder, killing, or stuff like that. But there's a lot of good things that goes on in our city. We don't hear about that on the news. You know,
that's correct.
You know, and that's one of the things we need to take a look at it going into 2021. You know, that's something we need to bring forward. But I'm gonna ask this question. I guess it'll be my last question. Down on Fontaine Road down there. If you go down Fontaine Road, and I think the first fence to your left, there's a lot of containers there. What type of containers though? I know it's said that's a storage. Has somebody rented that for storage or what?
You talk about outside along the fence?
Yeah, outside. Yeah.
You talk about the solar panels?
Yes.
Those are very expensive solar panels that's with that company. They're very expensive. You want to talk about that, Sean?
Sure. Yes, sir. Those are actually inverters. Those are solar powered inverters. And so what they're doing is they're simply just storing them there.
Yeah.
What ended up happening when the threats from the Trump tax cuts and tax hikes came in, all these Chinese companies started moving product to the United States. And so that's why they're there. They're simply storing those products for Chinese made companies. And so they're not hooked to anything. They're just simply storing.
I know. Yeah, they're sitting there. That property belongs the city making any money off it there, bottom line.
So that's private property. That's a private manufacturing facility.
Okay.
So
but where the city makes its money at, Mr. Day, is the workers that work on the inside. Hopefully those workers will get paid and spend their money inside the city, but that's private property. You know, that's what it's used for, to store those things. And I really don't, they're very expensive.
I know, yeah.
I don't even want to tell you the cost of those panels because we're on this Zoom, but they have to be protected. They have to have 24-hour surveillance around that. You know, I just don't want to attract people to that, but that's a fact right there. But they do have people that work there. That's a different field. That's industry. So the way we make our money off industry is through job production. It's a whole different setup, but now we make on retail, we make it both ways, sale tax and what's going on there. And it depends on what they sell from these locations, whatever, but if it's just for transportation and storage, it's different. So all of it is set up a whole different way than, your retail environment will be set up. But
So,
it's a good business.
so they'll be there for, for some time then,
We
Well,
would,
it depends on the tariff,
we
whatever
would,
the tariff's gonna be in it.
one thing you in love with, Mr. Day, is time.
Yeah.
You're in love with somebody telling you how, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I don't have
it's-
problem. I'm just,
it's a prayer, and that we stay good, and that location stay good, and they want to be here. We try to make it to where people want to be here, but I'll be misinforming you if I gave you a time on things.
okay, Mr. Hunter, let me add, this is my last question.
Go ahead. It was your last question several times.
Don't hold your breath, Steve.
Look at him, my phone's finna be dead.
At the Ilgen, the addition down at the Ilgen plant, are we on target for the job, Sean, down at the Ilgen plant? They, as time go by, they add so many jobs and what have you, phase 1, phase 2, and as far as job, that plan they had going.
So some years ago, we actually put a stipulation together that they had to meet a certain job requirement to receive a certain amount of money for an incentive. They met that job requirement. As of lately, they've had to reduce some, and so they've cut back some due to the pandemic. They've had to cut back some of the employment. But as far as what their job requirements were for the incentive, they met that job requirement initially.
Okay, when they cut back, does this affect their incentive? Their incentive they get? When they cut back, they met it, right? And then when they start laying off and cut back, will that affect their incentive that they were getting?
They actually met that a couple of years ago. So time has flown pretty good bit. They actually met that incentive a couple of years ago. So this, that incentive does not currently, they're not under that incentive anymore. They're not.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's all I have, man. Thanks.
All right. Mr. Bailey?
I gotta wake up now.
Oh, he
Yeah.
finished, man. He done had enough.
I've only got a couple. One of them is going to be a question that may not be an answer to, but anyhow, Todd addressed something Councilman Day brought up, was the flags. I've had several people asking about the flags at the cemetery, and I appreciate Todd answering that. Said they were looking into that, and eventually those flags will be replaced. The two things that, excuse me, that I wanted to ask about. We were having all of our streets looked at and I guess scored according to the use and being done. How's that coming along?
You want to address it, Angel?
Yes, sir. Sane has completed the study. We have, they've gone over it with us, engineering. That's going to be one of our main priorities this first month of the year, is to get that plan laid out and then look at our funding to see how we're going to go about, doing some major repair to some streets and then just doing some preventive maintenance to other pavements. So maybe we can get some additional asphalt life out of that.
Okay, good. All right, the next thing, similar question, different grouping. The manhole that we were having checked out all through town. I guess we started well over a year ago having them inspected for leaks and had smoke tests done and all that. Have we started repairing any of them that needed repairing? Or are we still checking manhole covers to see, which ones have got to be repaired? I just remember we were going through town, I saw a lot of them marked with green paint, and I'm assuming that means the ones that have been checked and everything.
It's ongoing. John, did you hear that question?
Could you repeat that again? Sorry.
If you didn't hear?
The manhole situation going through town, checking all the manholes out. I guess another term that'll fall deep. Doing smoke tests and all, trying to find leaks in the sewer system where certain neighborhoods might have had somebody pipe something into the sewer line that shouldn't have been piped into the sewer line. Just trying to find out how that's going on. If we find it, determine how many have to be fixed. Are we already fixing the ones that have to be fixed? We fix them as we go. Are we gonna wait and number all of them and do them in the priority that they need? Just trying to get an idea of how that's working.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you were asking about the smoke testing going on. I was having a little bit of difficulty understanding, but you were asking about the smoke testing.
Yes.
we've done a significant amount of that, and we have met with Constantine, it was last month. And what we're doing now is working on the plan on what areas we want to start working on first, whether it be doing some manhole rehab on specific manholes or televising some lines to try to find if there's leaks in pipes, and whether we want to go forward with what type of rehabilitation.
Well, something along that line, if we, and there again, I'm speaking of a couple of neighborhoods I know up in North Phoenix City, that I guess were, when the neighborhoods were put in, they piped stuff into the sewer system. A lot of the French drains through the neighborhoods and all were getting into the sewer system. If we find that going on, does the neighborhoods have to fix that through the homeowners, or is they going to be required to do anything about it? I don't want to call the neighborhoods by name, but I know of a couple of them up in North Phoenix City that have a lot of French drains in the area. And a lot of those, when they did the smoke test, they actually, were found to be faulty out in those yards. You see the smoke coming in. Who's going to be held responsible for any of that? Or is anybody going to be held responsible?
We've been through this before. It's a neighborhood association, because a lot of times they made those choices when they was building those particular areas. I know the main one that you're talking about. We've been them several times, and they already know that because they're president of their homeowners association. You remember we had to deal with that particular person a couple of years ago, so they already know the answer to it. So that hadn't changed.
Okay.
That hadn't changed, period.
Right. Well, I hadn't been, asked by anybody. Nobody's approached me, but I know eventually that's going to come up, and I'm going to be approached sooner or later, as all of us will through the whole city. Cause I'm sure it'll be found out, but a lot of the newer subdivisions, fortunately, are in North Phoenix City, but unfortunately, they, a lot of them weren't done, exactly the way they should have been done back in the time. But there again, that's another problem we inherit, so therefore it has to be addressed. And I was just wondering how we were doing that. My next question, and this is strictly a straight up question. I was asked today, there's a group of people, I don't think they're local, I think they're out of Tennessee, that's trying to purchase, and I'm going to use the name, the Hawthorne Apartments on 4th Avenue. And they were wondering, not money from the city, and it's not the housing authority. This is going to be I guess just a LLC. I'm assuming it's 52 units up there. How do they go about trying to find grants for money for neighborhood revitalization, trying to get the neighborhood brought up to a better standard? Is there grants available, or is there grant writers that you could maybe tell me that I could, suggest that they talk to see if there's any federal money there for them from trying to revitalize that area? Because it's not going to be housing authority. Well, because of the area of the town that it's in, and being in, and I don't want to talk bad about an area of town, but it's in one of the older areas there in District 1. Well, is there anything that they might can head towards?
Well, as you know, we already in that particular area with Lee Russell government, we already put in, engineering and worked with them several times, and utilities where we had put in for water line replacements and street replacements where we worked on grants with that. But that was a deal dealing with the government and city. When you're dealing with private development and it's a different thing, I would try to stay away from that somewhat, because that's is dealing with something that's private. That's something that they are.
That's what I mean, and that was the purpose of my question was: does anybody, is anybody I can direct them towards, or a group in Washington or whatever? I mean, they didn't come to me asking for the city for any money. They just came to me telling me they were interested in trying to revitalize that area. And I know so little about something like that I felt like, it would be better off just to ask for anybody's opinion or somebody's opinion of a group that they could get with.
That's John, any private deals that they can get with? Because see, we deal with housing authorities, so we know what they're gonna deal with. Comes with Rogers and here and there, whatever. But when you're talking a private deal,
this is private.
I stay away from those. I try to stay away from it.
Ms.
All right,
Hunter,
that's all I need. I mean, that's what I need to know.
But Sean might know somebody though that
I was gonna say, Ms. Hunter, if you're okay with it, there are probably a couple easy sources that that you could refer them to. If you'll give me a day or so.
Yeah.
I can put
Yeah.
just something simple together to send to get to them.
Yeah, because see, that's so separate from us. We don't intertwine into those
Right.
things. Yeah, that's something that they have to get based off of them. Well, we already set up to deal with the housing authority, government, and school systems to where the private sector of things kind of separate us.
Yeah, and that was the reason I wanted to ask it the way I did, because they're not expecting anything from the city. And this was not a city question. This was just more, maybe they thinking I'm smarter than that. I don't know, but I'm not. I wasn't smart enough to give them an answer. I did tell them there was no money as far as the city. There was nothing that any government could do. I didn't think to help them, but I still felt like I know that you see neighborhoods being revitalized in different cities and different areas and on TV and all. So I felt like there might be some avenue out there. I just didn't know which direction to send them. So what Sean's offered to do would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe it can happen, but maybe it won't. I don't know. But if it could be done, that's one of the older areas of town, and it's one of the oldest things in our town. Of course, it's in my district, so I want it to be improved for the neighborhoods around it. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
That's everything I got, Mayor.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Hunter and Sean and Gil and everyone else. We appreciate an Angel. We're going to proceed on in preparation for the agenda on tomorrow. It's pretty vanilla, so we'll go ahead. I don't think any of us need to take a break. However, if you do, you can just get up and walk away. Certainly, we
I'm gonna get a water.
But we're going to go ahead and get into it for the agenda tomorrow. As we know, it's at 9 o'clock by Zoom. It's the first one of the year, and we're certainly grateful and thankful for that we've all been spared, and hopefully we'll be spared throughout the night and where we can all meet tomorrow. But the meeting starts at 9 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Our invocation will be done by Councilman Day, which Mr. Day did the invocation or the prayer just before you got on. We wanted to go ahead and get started at 3. So invocation will be done by you. Pledge of Allegiance, Councilman Day. Do we not have anyone? I guess since Mr. Day will just do the invocation. Yeah, okay. Pledge of Allegiance also be done by Mr. Day. We would do that, and we will remain standing, and everyone will be able to see the flag. I'll make sure everyone can see the flag over my left shoulder. With that, we do have it's just a recognition, proclamation, presentation for an employee services recognition. I think we just had one person in it. Stephanie?
Yeah, I think it was this one.
Just one person, but we have certainly recognized them. And as we've talked about earlier, our biggest assets are our people. And as I always said, we can't do this enough. So we will have the employee service recognition done by Stephanie Chastain and Wallace Hunter. And after that, council, we will proceed on the city clerk, which I will at that time call for the approval of the regular scheduled meeting minutes for the December the 14th work session, as well as December the 15th council meeting. And since we were all there, we'll just take those in one vote, if that's the pleasure of the council, okay? Okay. So I will ask for a motion and a second for the approval of those meetings, the work session on the 14th, as well as the council meeting on the 15th. Then we will proceed on under the city council unfinished business. If there's something between here and there, that would certainly be the time to discuss it. But we will proceed on with the resolutions and with the on the administrations. The first one is a resolution number 2020-312. Be ratified in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to enter into a 5-year contract with City Base Incorporation for kiosk software and maintenance report, which Mr. Hunter alluded to a little earlier. So I will ask the clerk to read that resolution, and council, I will ask for a motion and a second to ratify. Okay, any comments, questions, or discussion? And let's try to have as many as we can today if it's on your mind or come to your mind for the sake of time for tomorrow. So are there any comments, questions, or discussion?
I've got a question, Mayor. Because like I said, I'm the most illiterate person in the world when it comes to anything with software, computers, or anything other than a hardline telephone. I know our first two resolutions deal with software. Both of them look like they deal with the kiosk. What's the difference in the two as far as the software goes? I guess this question would lead me to the next resolution, but this resolution, since it has software, support and maintenance included in it, what's the difference in that? Someone tell me.
Mike?
Yes, sir. What the question was about the software?
Yeah, it looked like the first resolution that all we've got to do is just ratify, has software and maintenance and all support included in it. And then the next resolution we're going to do right behind this with tower software. Looks like it's for the kiosk also. And I'm just trying to figure out what would be the difference and why we have two softwares. I mean, it's going to sound like the most ignorant question in the world, but I am the most ignorant person in the world to understand what this stuff is.
Yes, sir. The first resolution is for the actual kiosk, and that's the software and the maintenance for the kiosk. And the second resolution is the API, and that's what allows the kiosk to talk to our system.
Okay, that explains it to me then. See, one comes included in it that just comes with it, and the next one allows it to integrate to our system.
Yes, sir. So they can communicate with each other.
Okay. Exactly. Perfect explanation. I totally understand why we got two different ones now. And I hope that didn't sound too ignorant, but I have to admit that I am.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Well, let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. Mike, see down and said maintenance. The maintenance fee gonna be $800. What is that per year?
Yes, sir. It is $800 for the Munis API, which allows the kiosk to communicate with our utility system. The maintenance is $100 a year, but I believe that there's like a 5% increase every year.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, we'll go up, and this will continue, but it would be more efficient for the city doing city business, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And this is one of the things Mr. Hunter spoke about earlier as far as being proactive, especially with this COVID, to be able to service. We didn't say this word, but to be able to service the customer as quickly as possible than what we're doing now.
Keep the lines down.
Yeah, that's the purpose from a customer service standpoint.
I know it would be more effective with that, more efficient. Would that also increase the employees? Somebody would have to operate this and keep an eye on this, or have less job. How did that work? How that going to work?
Yes, sir. The kiosk. I mean, there is some behind the scenes things that will have to be done, as far as like the reporting and stuff like that. Okay. But overall, it should tremendously reduce their workload. And okay. The API, Mr. Hunter spoke about the IVR system earlier. He spoke briefly on that, and that's going to allow. Right now, when customers pay over the phone, they have to talk to a live person. But that Munis API, we're going to need that so that when we get an IVR system where people can pay over the phone without talking to a live person, it'll allow that system to communicate with our system.
And okay. If we get this in, we plan to get the other system because we have to free up some things for some of the workers. But to answer the other question, this particular thing won't cause a reduction in the workforce.
Okay. Okay.
But Mike saw Fiserv, and I was trying to find it right now. What relation partnership with Fiserv? Is this part of they're the take care of this on the back end? Is that the technology on the back end with Fiserv? I was trying to see where I saw that at.
I believe they're the credit card processor.
Mhm.
Okay.
They are.
And the tender, it accept card and check.
Mhm.
I did I see cash as well?
Yes, ma'am. The kiosk will accept cash, check, and card.
Okay. And the fees. That's why I was trying to, I don't know where I saw it at, but I wanted to ask about that in case I'm asked. So it will be based when it comes to the debit and the check part and not cash, or can you elaborate on that?
Yes, ma'am. I actually believe that cash is free, but I would have to double check that. But credit, debit, and checks are $1.95 per transaction.
I thought I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Aware.
and it just like regular interchange income.
Yeah.
You got to pay for that services of using that. It's the same. Yeah.
Same thing too, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. For online payments, we're charging $1.95 per transaction for credit and debit cards, and $2.95 for checks.
Well, Mike, let me ask you, what if, these folks be paying after hour? What if the machine is malfunction?
If the machine malfunctions, someone here at the city will get an email alert, and then we would have to come down and take a look at it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Did we research as far as maintenance? Is it coming from a city employee or outside source that would really do all the maintenance for that? Like an ATM, they hire outside companies to service their ATMs. I'm kind of comparing it to that. So are we the city is doing the maintenance, or is there outside source?
All the maintenance would be handled by a city base.
Yeah.
City base. Okay.
Maintenance built in the contract. We got the maintenance built in the contract.
Okay.
Only maintenance we may be doing is changing out paper for printing receipts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. I still think it's a plus, and I know our city will too. This is something that we introduced, third or fourth quarter of last year, we kind of introduced it and kind of made mention of it. Now to see it come to fruition, I think they're excited just as I am.
Oh yeah, it'll be a plus. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Modern technology moving into the 21st century.
Where's it going to be located?
What you say, sir?
Where's it going to be located? At the front of the building there where people get in line to pay the bills now, right in that area?
Yes, sir. Right in the front to the right-hand side.
Okay, good. I've been figured out. I finally figured out how to order a hamburger off of the kiosk at McDonald's. I've been figured out how to pay my water bill and my utility bills at this one.
Let me address something else too. When we was talking about that on Mr. Day, what happens when you get pushed to this point, it's not because of just technology itself. It's because of the growth of our city. So when you look at that, we're trying to accommodate and service a lot more people than what we've once before done. So that right there is it equals out everything. A whole lot more. We got to produce a whole lot more.
Well, you're helping people to get off work at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, and people that have to be at work at 6 and 7 in the morning. And you're not requiring your employees to have to be there to take care of them. And they know that they got paid because they walked up to it. They sent it in the mail, and a lot of times they'll get told, "Well, I put it in the mail, but of course the city never receives." So it just adds another way for the city to actually help the citizens.
All in the name of customer service.
Yeah, and most of the citizens, nowadays, I'm getting to be one of the dinosaurs here in town. But these young people are the ones that, want to pay this way, and they get upset when they can't pay this way.
That's right.
I don't get upset because you can't, but they get upset that they can't do it.
We catch it both ways because, and that's even with the pandemic, a lot of people, especially older people, the first of the month is one of their anticipated outings. They like to go out.
Yeah.
And they go to places and they like to pay through window. So we get it both ways. So we have to try to accommodate people and to be understanding of all people, because they like doing that. You know, I've seen so much of it today. And to look out the window or go down, just come to this building right now and go downstairs. And it's till the last minute, and it'll be this way for the rest of the week. Because
Well, they were lying down the street headed towards,
yes,
the police department today.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they was, like you said, out in the street with the cars.
But you know something? Yeah. You know something that we forgot? You know, we always talk about it. The mayor talked about it all the time. What kind of people, the way we built, we used to shaking hands, hugging, and everything like that. Also, a lot of people, friendships come out of places that they go to pay their bills. Oh, yeah. They know the people there. They know the people, families. They've been doing business with people for years and doing things. They miss that also. So any sight of what they can see is good therapy for them in their minds, you know. So we deal with that quite a bit with people trying to get out, and it's understandable, you know, because, you know, everybody don't attend church all the time or go. And even if you attend church now, look how many few people have to be scattered around in churches and stuff. So they don't get to see. So, you know, I see a lot more. And that's why I'm hoping these shots will do good and help people out, because as time go on, people get impatient.
It gets harder and harder to stay separated.
That's right. And
it really does, because you don't see the numbers dropping. And when you don't see the numbers dropping, you wonder why you're putting forth this effort. But it still has to be done.
That's correct.
We have to separate, but it's against everything that you believe. This separation is against that.
That's right.
Like you said, you're used to shaking hands, hugging people, going to family reunions, having get-togethers, and it's against every bit of that. Yes.
It's beating them down right now. I tell you, it's a challenge, and that's why I'm hoping the vaccinations can do great and do good, and they're having a few hiccups throughout the country and trying to get this thing done with people and trying to get this taken care of, so we can try to at least get to that 70% mark to try to turn this thing around. But it's quite a bit. We got a ways to go, and you all have seen yourself where some people purposely messed up some of the vaccines, you know, destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff and let it go out, making sure it wasn't in the refrigerator and the whole work. So everybody ain't on board with it now. So it's so much that we got to try to get done around here to make sure that we can try to get as far back to normal as possible. Go ahead, Mayor. I'm sorry.
Man, let me step away and get my battery charged.
We ain't got time for that now.
Go ahead. Well, we did discuss the first resolution, so and we'll wait until Steve gets back if he can find it. He may be like, let me see how much battery I have left here. Ooh, yeah, I don't have much either, and I don't have mine's with me.
All right, let's move on.
We're gonna move on, Steve, for the sake, because I'm about to log off too, so we'll go ahead and proceed. Also on the administration, B, resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into a contract with Tyler Technology for software and maintenance support services in an amount not to exceed $7,862. I will ask Mrs. Lee to read that and ask for a motion in a second. And we've also discussed that along with the A. So so we've already discussed that. Okay. Yeah. And proceeding on, also on the administration, is C is a resolution in reference to accepting a proposal from ADS Environmental Systems for flow monitors, rain gauges, and technical assistance for a year in an amount not to exceed $3,925. And this is something that we've done in the past, so I will ask the clerk to read that resolution, and council, I will ask for a motion and a second for approval. Okay.
Okay.
Then also on the resolution, D is a resolution on the administration is a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into a contract agreement with Thayer, Bray, Construction LLC for services to remodel the public safety building in an amount not to exceed $4,004,656. And I will ask Mrs. Lee to read that resolution and ask for a motion in a second. And as Mr. Hunter spoke of, it is a local company, but you know, they provided the best bid and the best price and also all the other things that we look for. So
That's
we'll
good.
ask for a motion in a second for that. Okay, council?
Okay.
Any
Let me
comments,
ask something on that.
Yes, sir.
How many square feet, nothing to do with the renovation part, but the addition that when it comes forward toward Broad Street, how many square feet is going to be added to that building? Anybody know?
38,000.
Just how many? 38,000? I mean, I'm sitting here.
You
I don't know the exact, but I can look at the plans and I'll get them for you. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's quite a big expansion, but it's not 38,000. I think the building itself currently is at 40,000 square feet. When we add it on, it'll be
Not at that price. I can tell you it ain't 38,000.
Well, I wouldn't think so. That's what I'm saying. I don't know exactly what it costs to
Not
do
per
a
square foot.
I haven't added up the square footage.
Not per square foot. Not the.
I'm just curious as how how much it's going to add on, because I know I'm going to get asked that somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to be able to give somebody some idea.
Chief, is that going to be upstairs, downstairs? Is one level, what? Two levels?
It's actually, the addition is going to be a single level, but it's going to be the same height as the existing building. It's just going to be out in the front yard. So you'll have a council chamber on one side and a courtroom on the other side that will be then blended into the rest of the building.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a large council chamber though, is that right?
There'll be a large council chambers, and just so you know, the $4 million includes the renovation of the entire building, not just the new construction. So it's going to be new construction plus the renovation of the existing building for fresh paint, carpet, and all that.
That's correct.
It's well needed. Yeah.
Want to go ahead and get started on it as soon as possible, Chief.
All right.
You know what's happening to that building? It's a reversal of what happened in 1963. They built the current building in the back of where the old building used to be. And so after they finished building it, they tore down the front part of it. And now we're putting a
back in the front, right on the street.
That was on the same thing on the street, the zero line. So it's working out real good with that. But all through the renovations throughout the building and the utilization of the space that they're vacating, that the chief is putting back in place where they have extra space to use inside the building. But a lot of people look at the cost of square footage now. It's just not a matter of that. With all the technology is what we're gonna put inside of that building.
That's what raised it up.
That's correct.
Yeah, most of it's going to be spent on the renovation part, I'm sure.
The
majority of the money will be. Right.
That's where your money going.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Proceeding on E, on the administration, is a resolution in reference to accepting the annual transportation report as submitted, and Mrs. Moore spoke about that earlier also. So I will ask the clerk to read that resolution, and I will ask for a motion and a second council for approval, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Proceeding on the finance department. We have a resolution in reference to declaring various office items as surplus to be disposed of or destroyed at the landfill. Okay. And I trust you all saw the list, and we'll ask Ms. Lee to read that resolution. And of course, I will ask for a motion and a second from you all, from the council, to approve. Okay.
Okay.
Proceeding on the police department. We have a resolution in reference to purchasing two 2021 Ford Explorer CID vehicles from Stivers Ford Lincoln in the total amount of $63,120. We'll ask Ms. Lee to read that resolution, and of course, ask for a motion and a second to approve. Okay. And this is under the state contract too, isn't it, Chief?
There's a budget too, and the chief.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And proceeding on the police department is a resolution in reference to purchasing 4 2021 Ford Explorer patrol vehicles from Stivers Ford Lincoln in the total amount of $126,240. We'll ask the clerk to read that resolution, and we will ask for a motion and a second to approve. Comments or discussion?
Are these units going to replace some old units that we've taken out of service, or we just need some more units for our police department?
Yes, sir. They are patrol units. They are replacements.
Okay. Sounds good.
Patrol units, we get a high mileage, a lot of mileage and wear and tear on patrol units.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So in council, we have nothing under the city attorney.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Sure.
Did we, maybe I'm lost or something. Finance department, did we skip a resolution on the finance department? Or did
No, we only had one line item. That's
okay.
The surplus.
Excuse me, y'all. The children down there hungry, and I'm hungry.
Oh, hey, listen.
Yeah.
Someone, put your phone on mute. Listen. Hello.
That's his wife he got to put on mute.
Step we don't want to hear everything that's going on.
All I know is I got to feed somebody.
Go feed everybody.
Okay, go mute.
Okay.
I'm hungry too.
All right.
I got to go feed everybody.
Go mute.
Go mute. We might need to start that phrase.
Yes.
All right. Again, council, thank you all. We really had a great dialogue today. And you know, the thing I'm so grateful for, we do it with dignity and sincere character, and that's how we get better collectively as an individual. So I certainly appreciate the dialogue, and you know, we need to continue that because our goal is this community, the citizen of it, and this municipality. And I'm certainly thankful for that. So tomorrow morning, by the grace of God, we'll see everyone at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I was going to find out.
Beg your pardon? Someone said something? So with that, and I will bring my charger tomorrow. I'm about to sign off too. At least I got double-digit percentage. So if there's anything else we need to discuss, and if not, we'll see each other in the morning. And thank you all so much for the great dialogue. Have a good evening. Happy New Year to everyone too.
Happy New Year to y'all.